y'all, and welcome back to my channel. And welcome to a anti-haul that is a little bit calmer. Usually when I do my anti-hauls, I tend to be a little bit heated, a little bit passionate. And today is kind of much more of a practical anti-haul. It's looking at things that are just like, no, I don't need that. Something that I might be kind of inclined toward, but no, I'm on my low buy. Although there is one thing that I need to, like, I'm anti-hauling it because I don't need it. Looking at it on the surface, it looks absolutely gorgeous, but I'm like, I guarantee you have those colors in what you have already. Do not get sucked into the beautiful packaging, to the aesthetic. It was just, it was, you'll see it. So obviously y'all know that your girl is headlong into that low buy. So we are only purchasing a select few items for review / video purposes. So this is just going to be an anti-haul talking about a bunch of releases that have come out that I'm not buying for whatever reasons, and we're a little less salty this time around because there are not things where I'm like, this is the stupidest thing that ever existed. There's not a huge amount of that, although there's always going to be at least just a little bit, so don't lose faith. All right, firstly, we're going to start, let's do the whole little line. Firstly, we're going to start off with something from Pat McGrath. Now, Pat McGrath, apparently I have been informed that she is not cruelty-free, so there is that going for it. You know, she's super pricey, you know, and you have things that kind of catch your eye and you look at and you're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And what caught my eye were these like little colorful lipsticks. The outer packaging, beautiful pink, blue, you know, just this gorgeous, very summery, springy, whatever vibe. And I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. That's gonna be neat. And then you open the lipstick up and it's still just the basic ready nude vibe that we've been getting all along. I just saw the really pretty pop of color and I was like, okay, let's color code this shiz. I don't know why I immediately think we have to color code the outer packaging to the inner packaging. Y'all know I love me some monochromaticness, so maybe that's it. But seeing that really beautiful, bright, gorgeous packaging and then opening it up into, you know, nude was a little bit disheartening. It was just like, oh, I had some high hopes, some expectations, but no, it's the same 3 shades we've seen over and over and over again. And even aside from that, y'all know I don't need another nude lipstick, and y'all know I definitely don't need another bullet lipstick. Okay, then something that I saw that I had to take a moment because it looked really, really pretty. I was like, oh, I could see myself having that. I could see myself using the shiz out of that. Morphe and I believe Pony's Makeup, MAC also did a collaboration with her, and I'm pretty sure Colourpop did too. I could be wrong. But it is this beautiful pastel, ethereal, shimmery goodness. I mean, y'all know I do not have a good relationship with Morphe. I don't like a lot of their products. I think they're overhyped. I think they're pushed and shilled. But seeing this made me have a moment of like potential weakness. Like if this had been released by like Colourpop, I mean, I would have been giving Colourpop a lot of shiz for being all like, really? Another big palette? Are we trying to be Morphe that bad? You know, or BH Cosmetics, or, you know, another brand where this kind of size palette would have like been very on brand for them. I probably would have bought it because it looks absolutely beautiful. Just those light, effervescent colors in a good way, you know, the blues and the greens and the pinks and the purples and the shimmy shiny and all the pastel kawaii goddess goodness. But it's Morphe. A lot of the shades are shimmers. Y'all know that mattes, in my opinion, make up the backbone of a palette. It's a big, ginormous thing. We ain't about that life. And so, for a myriad of reasons, I have to tell myself, no, you're good. I'm sure if you look through your stuff, you could curate, you know, a fine amount of shimmery, shiny, ethereal goodness. You don't need to be suckered in by the Morphe, so that one we're going to pass on, even though it looks so so pretty. If any of y'all have it, let me know down below if it's good. Next up is one that if you would have seen me on the Half Cousins podcast, the Palette Palooza, we talked about the new Dominique Cosmetics Latte 2 palette. Now, initially looking at this, it's really pretty. You look at that, you're like, oh, look at those pretty brown shades, you know, accented with that salmon and the mint and the whatever. You're like, that's really pretty. And so this isn't something that I'm all like, oh, this is stupid. The color story is stupid. The whole thing is stupid. No. I'm anti-hauling it strictly because what gets me going on about this palette is that salmon and that mint color that, you know, we're going with that pop effect. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, all right. If you take those two out, the palette is kind of like, you know, not really my thing. Skews a bit more neutral than I prefer usually. And even then, if you're like, well, then get it for the two pretty colors. You know, I'm sure you could do like some pretty neutral pop of color looks. But I just bought the Colourpop mint palette, and I have a Colourpop watermelon and strawberry and orange palette. I'm sure I could find that really pretty salmony orange shade somewhere in my collection. So this one is definitely much more of like a practical anti-haul where you look at it and you're like, oh, look at that, that's so pretty. And then if you take a moment to think a bit more logically, you realize you're attracted to two shades out of that palette, and those two shades I'm 99.9% sure you already own. So just take a step back, let it wash over you, you know, let it go, let it have its moment, and then remind yourself that you have too much makeup and you could probably dupe that thing out anyway. So it's a no for me. Then once again, kind of another, just like it's a no for me for kind of more practical reasons, but the e.l.f. 4-pan palette eyeshadows. Now, I've never been a huge fan of e.l.f. shadows. I remember when those all shimmer palettes were like all the rage, and they were okay. And I held on to them for a really, really long time. And then all the all matte palettes were all the rage. And they were okay. And I held on to them for a really long time. And so there is kind of that going in where I'm not necessarily thinking, oh, e.l.f. has such a great formula that I absolutely know and love. I want to go in on these. And then you have the fact that they're 4-pan eyeshadow palettes, which typically isn't my jam. Like the small Colourpop palettes are as small as I like to go. That's like mwah, perfection to me. But also the fact that I have a lot of makeup. For those of you who may be new here, I have a lot of makeup. And for those of you who have been with me for a while, y'all know I have too much makeup. And because of that, basically, these little palettes become very redundant. I'm sure if I bought any of them, I would be able to duplicate them so easily in my collection. I have got a vast variety of eyeshadows to choose from singles to palettes, different color schemes. You know, I would be very hard pressed to believe that there actually is a color story or an actual color that exists out there that I don't already own. So while these may be good for someone, you know, starting out or someone who just wants to get into color but doesn't want to get a lot of color, wants to get a little taste, a little peck, yeah, these might be good. But for someone like me who has a lot of color, a lot of neutrals, a lot of bright colors, a lot of in between, it's just like, you know, it would literally be wasted money because I would buy it because it's something new and then I would never use it because I'm reaching for the colors that I already own of that in palettes that already exist in my collection. So we're starting to develop more critical thinking. In my college, critical thinking was very, very important, so my teachers would be proud of me now. Then one that I do kind of have a certain feeling towards, I don't even know what this brand is. Sometimes Treadmood posts these random brands. She's like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I'm like, I never heard of these people. And that is the Chantecaille, depending on where you're from, put your like pronunciation of the last little bit of that name, insert here. But the Hummingbird collection, which I admit, I saw that packaging and I was like, oh, that's pretty. I wonder what brand that is. Who's hopping on the really pretty Hummingbird train? Because initially you look at it and you see a palette that's like really teeny tiny. I feel like we think Colourpop most times. But yo, this is definitely not Colourpop. You get 4 shades, because you scroll through and you're looking at the thing. You get four eyeshadow colors for $72. Now, y'all know I have advocated for some pricey stuff in the past. Y'all know I love my Viseart Grand Pro. I like my other Viseart palettes. You know, Jeffree Star is a little bit more pricey, Huda Beauty. But when you get the bang, when the bang for your buck is the packaging, and because basically what it is I feel like when it comes to this expensive whatever it is, it's a packaging company that needs to put some eyeshadow in it so they can sell it as makeup. But when in reality, what they're selling you is that really pretty whatever hummingbird pack. I mean, $72 for 4 eyeshadows. And they're not even that. See, that's what I get. That's what I get when you got brands that have the goal, like Tom Ford and whatever, you know, and they're like, we're going to charge you $50 million for 4 shades, and they're going to be 4 of the most rudimentary, boring shades you have ever seen in your life. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people are die-hard Tom Ford, those like little 4 whatever quads, they love them. But with this thing, it's just like I was just kind of going through, you know, and they have like a face powder, I think, maybe a highlighter for a little bit less of an offensive price, but for some reason you smack eyeshadow on the description of something, and for some reason that means we can charge a super crazy ultimate premium. I'm just like, $72 for what? Basically nothing. I'm not feeling it. The packaging is really crude, but some of these brands, like some of these, like, you know, oh, we're from France and we're from Italy and we're from all these beautiful places, and now we're charging like 50. I mean, what is it about foreign makeup? You know, you got Clou Eau de Peau, and then you got Guerlain, you know, these things that are just like faint, potentially slightly maybe dusting. What are they doing that merits these huge gauge in pricing? If any of y'all are familiar with like any bit of that in the makeup whatever business, let us know down below, because I would love to know what goes into making this fancy bougie makeup as expensive as it is. Okay, then something that once again, you know, is kind of just like, don't need it, not gonna buy it. The Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk eyeshadow palette. It's pretty. It's kind of rosy tones. I know by now this is up. I'm sure Teresa is Dead will have a review or something talking about it. I'm sure I'll watch that and see what she says. I trust her opinions, and she has swayed me in the past in purchasing products that I typically wouldn't normally buy. Naked honey! But just kind of on the whole outer whatever, I'm just like, okay, alright, it's kind of pretty, it's kind of whatever, but I have the Urban Decay Naked Cherry. I have the myriad of like pinky ready Colourpop palettes. I got Modern Renaissance. I've got Venus XL. I've got just a myriad of other palettes with rosy pinky color stories that I already own, and being on a low buyer, just like, okay, you can pass on this. It's not bad. I'm sure the quality might be nice. You know, y'all let me know. But for me and just my whateverness right now, it's a no. Then one that I'm not buying because I'm kind of not sure what it does, and I'm kind of anal about how I keep my makeup tools clean. But Toffee Beauty decided that she was going to release a duo of Blendiful sponges, makeup puffs, applicators. I'm not even sure. One of them shaped like a heart. And I mean, I'm kind of set in my ways with how I do my makeup. You know, I've got kind of my whatevers, and I think it's doing me pretty well. And so when she released these, like, you know, I don't use puffs, just period, straight up. And then it's like, you know, well, it's not just a product for powder, you can use it for like liquid and cream. And I'm looking at the thing, I'm looking at this little fluffy, I'm imagining the fur to be kind of similar to, you know, stuffed animal fur. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you use that, and I'm not even, you use it, and then how am I supposed to clean that shiz? I admit, I did not watch her video, so if she went into full in-depth analysis about how you're supposed to clean this thing, I apologize. But like, that just looks like a lot of headache I don't want to have to deal with. Like, I have a big enough headache having to clean my sponge and my brushes, let alone this like puffs sponge hybrid that I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to do with it. Like it looks like it's gonna get nasty beyond all belief. Like sponges are bad enough and those are relatively easy to clean, and then you got this thing and it's got like, I mean, am I supposed to run it through the dishwasher? I don't understand. The washer? Is that how I'm supposed to clean it? Because I don't think just a little bit of whatever, a little bit of, you know, brush cleaner and doing that, I don't think that's gonna do it. So aside from me not wanting to try any other tool things and stuff like that, it just looks like it's gonna be a pain. I mean, like I say with all of these products, if any of y'all have them and you've tried them, let us know. How are these things? You know, how practical are they for the everyday user? Because I look at those things and I'm just like, that looks like not a lot of fun. Looks like a headache. Looks like a pain in the butt. So I ain't gonna be getting no Tati Blendiful sponge stuffed animal hide hybrids. Okay, this next one, this is coming a little bit late to the game. It's gonna be fairly after New Year's and all the whole lunar whatever thing. You know, we talked about Clinique. We talked about Becca twice. And then you go on to like Sephora and Beautylish and like every flipping brand is like, look, we have fancy Lunar Beauty stuff. Not Lunar Beauty, Lunar New Year stuff. And by fancy Lunar New Year stuff, I mean they're literally taking products they already have and slapping this really pretty ready gold Chinese New Year packaging on it and selling it. I've seen Givenchy, I've seen Laura Mercier, I have seen Charlotte Tilbury, I've seen Urban Decay, just a myriad of these brands that are just jumping on this like Lunar New Year thing where it's just like, well, maybe if we put some like festive packaging on it, people are gonna buy into the hype. I mean, is that not the absolute biggest cop-out to the point where we can't even create new makeup for a festive holiday? We have to just it takes time and money, although I'm sure it's much less expensive to just repackage something, make it red and pretty, and then sell it. I mean, I was just like, really? Because they're like, oh, look at all this new stuff. I'm like, it's not new. It's not new. It's the same thing, just with a cute little red whatever. I was like, really, Urban Decay? Really? You're just going to put a little fancy whateverness on your all-night setting spray and call it a day? I was just like, how stupid is that? And they act like it's all so exciting and innovative and it's so cool and new when it's just honestly the most boring, laziest thing that a company could ever do. So I ain't gonna be doing none of that lunar whateverness. It's just so stupid. Once again, something that I'm anti-hauling simply because I don't see it having a good place in my collection. I don't have any strong affinity toward reviewing it, but the new small little, I believe 6-pan palettes from Juvia's place. I've had a couple of y'all ask me if I'm going to be reviewing these, and I'm just, you know, looking at them, you know, yeah, they're cute, they're little, they're whatever. I have a lot of Juvia's place palettes that I don't already used. They just sit there looking really pretty. And kind of in the same vein as the e.l.f. palettes, you know, these are something that's really going to be creating empty space in my collection because I already have, I'm pretty sure, the majority of these shades already in my collection somewhere, maybe even in Juvia's Place palettes already. So I'm sure the quality is going to be nice. I'm sure, you know, Juvia's Place has a pretty good track record for consistency when it comes across their eyeshadows and everything. But for me and where I'm at and kind of the direction I'm working on with this channel, this just isn't anything that I'm interested in picking up or reviewing. So it's just a very unbiased, unemotional no. And then we're gonna talk about it, just getting emotional. So you're scrolling through the treadmill and you're just like, okay. And then you see Colourpop strikes again. Because I had just made a Colourpop order where I ordered the mint palette. I got the coconut one. I know, I reneged on that. The brown sugar one, and then the 2 purple ones, because I want to do a video where I'm like, which Colourpop monochromatic palette is best for you? And then you go online, you see, oh look, They released 2 more. Now, in their defense, they did not release 2 more monochromatic palettes, but they did release this soft and nude and natural collection, which I'm like, if any of y'all bought either of those big palettes that they released, you have these little palettes. Like, I don't understand what's going through Colourpop's mind, because obviously they're just releasing to release at this point, because if you look at like releases, you're like, okay, if you have that, you have this new thing that's coming out, and if you have that, you have that new thing. Like I said, if you bought that big, if you just bought the first big palette, I'm pretty sure you have these soft little subtle neutral whatever palettes have. And then if you bought, anything else besides that, you definitely have this. I mean, Colourpop is just going rampant. They're collaborating like Colourpop. You collaborated with everybody. Where's Colourpop X90's Love Child? Where's that collaboration? I'm down. I mean, I would roast myself. I'd be like, hey guys, Colourpop has another collaboration. It's really stupid, and it's with me. The last thing we need is another Colourpop release, and the last thing we need is a Colourpop collab release. I don't even know if this is a collab or not. I don't know. It's stupid. It's redundant. I'm sick and tired of Colourpop. And then every time they release something, they release like a huge, that's another thing that gets me. When Colourpop releases things like they did, they couldn't just release the mint palette. It had to be, well, we're releasing everything matcha and avocado colored. It has to be a huge, big old collection with lippy sticks and glitters and super shock shadows and highlighters and blushes. I'm just not down. I'm just not feeling that anymore for myself. Then another thing that's just kind of like, and just kind of a lot are the new Violet Voss little mini palettes. One of them's the matte vibes and one of them's purple. I like purple. I have purple. Enter those Colourpop palettes that I got. Enter Jeffree Star. I got purple, Norvina. I'm good. I've got mattes that I absolutely love. Violet Voss isn't a formula that I think about like, yes, I need everything by her. It's just kind of like a, it's there and that's about it. So it's just something that, I don't feel any strong affinity towards. So we're not buying that, but something I saw and I was like, I want that. I really want that, if for nothing else other than the aesthetic. Y'all know BH Cosmetics have been doing those like around the world whatever palettes, and they finally released a Tokyo one, and it's like all things neon and bright and beautiful, and y'all know your girl loves a Japanese aesthetic, and it's so pretty and nice and colorful, and I'm like, but if you think about it, like I could review it, but I don't want that to be an excuse for me buying things that I don't really need and, just buying them anyway because, oh, it'll be a review. I still want to be focusing on investing in things for my collection, and I have brights. I have colorful things, If someone reviews this palette and they're like, this is the best bright palette you will ever own in your life, then maybe I may rethink it. But for now, I just look at it longingly with all of its cute little Tokyo anime vibes. And on the inside, in my weeaboo loving heart, I would like to have it, but Practical Soraya is just saying, no, don't do it. Don't go there. Then something else about not going there. This is the thing I discussed in the beginning where I was like, I saw this and I needed to have it. Lime Crime has decided to break out of its repetitive mediocrity and release the Prelude collection, which includes 2 more 8-pan palettes that look absolutely stunning. They are everything Renaissance and beautiful, and the packaging and the liquid lipsticks. I mean, you look at it and you think aesthetic. Like, I think about that one top I got from Doll's Kill that everyone loved that had the paintings on it, the Baroque paintings, and I think of that when I see this, and it just looks beautiful and gorgeous. But I am almost positive that this palette is pulling me in sort of in a like, you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, that's so pretty all together with the packaging and everything. But if I were to take that and just pluck the eyeshadows out and lay it out, I am pretty positive that I already have these shades. I could find them somewhere else. And the fact that these palettes are going to be at a $38 price point, so to review them both, that's going to be about $80, and you only get 16 shades. You know, that's as beautiful and as aesthetically pleasing and as gorgeous as it looks. I'm just, for right now, I have to say no, as stunning and if they had taken this color scheme and kind of mushed it together and released another Venus XL, I would be on this like pasta. I'd be chowing down and having the best time of my life. But because they're only 8 shades each and it's kind of whatever, we'll see what happens. But for now, I have to sadly say no. Then something that a bunch of y'all actually were like tagging me and messaging me about, oh, look at this, is the Chilling Tales of Sabrina and NYX collaboration. Now I admit I'm a bit of an old school Sabrina fan. I'm not a huge fan of the new TV show Crucify Me If You Want To, I don't care. And although that isn't necessarily what's kind of keeping me from kind of like, I'm not sure if I want to go into that, but it's mostly because NYX they've never had an eyeshadow formula that I've been like, yes, I absolutely love this. And so kind of taking into consideration that I'm not a huge fan of the show, maybe I need to get into it more, I'm not sure, you know, and then like the whole, you know, it's NYX. I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see what it looks like on the inside. There is that going on. But for just kind of like an initial whatever, I'm just kind of like, you know, I'm good. I don't need it. It doesn't look like something that I'm going to be super passionate about reviewing, but obviously we'll have to see about what it looks like inside. You also know with reviewing, you know, limited edition thing, we've got that there's a lot of whateverness going on into my deciding whether I want to review something or not. But that is what we have for the anti-haul today. We got a little bit passionate about some things, a little bit chill on others. Obviously, if any of y'all have, you know, purchased these things, or if you've used them, let us know how they are down below. You know, I could be just completely freaking wrong. I've never actually used these things. So let us know down below if you've used them and what you think about them. And let us know down below something, you know, your opinions on these things. And also something that you are planning on anti-hauling. I always love hearing what y'all are like, that's a no. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you. And as always, keep it real. Mwah.